He doesn't tell you the truth, and you end up making major life decisions without all the necessary information. And I'm talking about these decisions that shape your future, your finances, and your kids. It can shape your health. For example, you might be buying a house. You might be deciding to have another child, deciding to get married, or moving across the country. You do not realize what you're doing until it hits you. One day out of the blue, it just hit me that I was doing all of this for 2 decades. I was doing all of this shit without informed consent. The entire time that I was with this guy, I always sensed that something was wrong. It was like my body registered it before my mind would even accept it. It was a constant, persistent feeling of unease, and I often described it as him being a parasite to me, being inconsiderate and relying on me to take care of everything, and blaming me for everything. There I was. I could see myself before we moved to Florida. I was there trying to make responsible choices, getting ready to leave across country to move to Florida. And that was one of the hardest parts, because I was so strung out with his family and him and his mother wanting to be in control of what we were doing. And I was in a bad place during that time. And the reason why that matters right now is because I realized back then I didn't have consent that required access to my reality back then. My reality back then was really much shaped by what he wanted. And I was just making it happen. I was the puppet. So looking back at everything that has happened in the last couple of months, when my nervous system calmed down and I'm doing a lot of inner work and clinical study on narcissism and other personality disorders, I realized that when the truth is withheld, it exposes you to risks that you never agreed to. His infidelity could have exposed me to things I don't even want to discuss. Thankfully, health-wise, I'm clean. And I know now that all those late-night calls, those texts, those weird behaviors from him, the stalking from his partners onto me suspecting that people were stalking my socials, and it was all reality. And that's why I didn't have socials for a while. And he didn't want me to have them. He was taking control of all of that, including the finances, and he's really financially harming me right now. We are going to be battling through this divorce, and there are going to be legal consequences on both sides. He is responsible for the collapse of this marriage, and he destroyed this family. I know now that I was the glue that was keeping it together. This is reality. And when I was reading about Hope Ray, there's a term called betrayal violence that really intrigued me. Because this is what I was trying to describe, what was happening to me all these years. Yeah, there was violence, there was physical harm early on in the marriage, and he's a sadistic, you-know-what, and has done things, without consequences. But his behavior, it was like he was born with this emotional violence and coercive control. It was ingrained in him. It was a pattern. He was very consistent. That was the only consistent part of him, was how he operated. And part of this pattern, the way he operated, it's him always having this ongoing secrecy, hiding things, being in denial when confronted, and the constant manipulation of reality. Anything that I brought up to him, allegations, he would either completely dismiss or minimize or reverse everything and tell me that I'm the one that was doing these things when he was the actual one who was betraying me. He was really good. It was, the perceptions he was able to twist in my own mind, and it made me thought maybe I am at fault. I completely dismissed my intuition for many years, and I thought of it as paranoia because he would come home late from work and he would just be looking exhausted and expecting a nice dinner and a massage. Even when I was going through the worst health crisis of my life, I still gave him what he wanted. And over time, it just wore me down. I didn't have any energy to trust my own intuition or depend on my own judgment. It was non-existent. And this, I'm not talking about simply the infidelity that was going on, because that was obviously what was going on for the entirety of our relationship. It was about his repeated violations of deceiving me and preventing me, going through great lengths of making sure that I didn't know what he was being deceptive about. Very, very deceptive behavior that he exhibited, and the way, and this is really difficult for me to describe, and I should probably write it down and think of a better way to describe it, but it's like when you're young and your younger brother makes you mad and takes the ball that you were playing with away, and you decide to pop the ball because he pissed you off. And then your mother comes out and asks why your brother's crying, and she sees the ball is popped. Well, you're trying to quiet down your brother, make him stop crying, and you tell him, look, tell mom that you popped the ball and I'll give you candy. It was kind of that behavior, that childlike, deceptive behavior, so that you would avoid the consequence and maintain control of your image. That is what he did to me, constantly. And by doing that, the person that I was married to, he was just restricting my view, my ability to really assess what was going on in my life. And when I read, the more I read, the more intelligent I feel, and I feel like I'm getting back to my normal self, but I do realize that when you don't have access to the real truth of what's going on around you, you don't have the ability to freely choose your own life, and that's where I'm getting at. That's my point. When choice is removed, autonomy is removed, and that is what coercive control is. If you're married to a partner like I was, and they're maintaining that coercive control over you, it's just going to lead to more emotional pain and heartbreak, and it's very traumatizing. Just realizing it later, too late, that all these decisions, the decision to get married, the decision to have babies with him, the decision to get back to him after he brutally discarded me 17 years ago, the decision to have another baby with him, move to Florida, they were all based on false premises. My consent was never fully informed. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying to portray yourself as being a victim of this coercive control. You have a right to know what's happening in your own life. You have a right to make decisions with full information. And when you're married to somebody that withholds that truth, they're not just betraying trust, they're depriving you of your very rights. Like, what rights do you have? If you're married to somebody and they're forcing you to do something that you don't want to do, like have another baby, buy a major purchase, I don't know, whatever it is, how can you not say it's not violence against your autonomy? It is. And that is why this is not just betrayal. It's like, not only did I allow this deceptive behavior to go on, and him constantly being conniving and changing my reality, I betrayed myself for not taking the rose-colored glasses off sooner. I hope y'all can understand where I'm coming from, because I feel enlightened, and maybe I'm just talking too out of my element right now. Reading does this to me. It's enlightening, and I don't know. Good luck to you out there. Good luck. None of you are safe. None of you are. I've been in positions where I've been in different places, had many opportunities, and I won't go any further with that. That's just a completely other subject, but I'll just say this. I never chase, because whatever is meant for me, the universe will lead me right to it. And I have to find this quote. I should find it real quick and pause this, but it was about the universe screaming at you. If you're not listening to it, whisper. And it was a quote by Oprah. So I'm going to find it real quick. So when Oprah was talking about the whispers of the universe, she was emphasizing listening to subtle guidance and trusting the divine order and taking responsibility for your own life. This quote, it made probably the national news. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Okay, so here's the quote. It says, "The universe speaks to us at first, or excuse me, the universe speaks to us always, first in whispers. If you don't pay attention to the whisper, it gets louder. And there is one irrefutable law of the universe. We are each responsible for our own life." And so what she's doing there is she's stressing allowing the universe's energy to lead in responding to its call for change with action. And for me, that's a huge revelation. I can really dive deep into that kind of thing, but I won't. I'm gonna let y'all have at it and enjoy your life and be with who you want to be. And I'm so excited for the future, and I'm so excited to finally release this monster that has depleted me of all my energy, and I'm finally regaining back who I should have been a long time ago, and I'm getting stronger each day. And it's your all's choice, and if you're going to stay stagnant, or if you're going to be who you really want to be.